Hey babies, it's your favorite host, Mr. BMG, back at it again with another episode. Let's get into it. Anyway, babies, I hope you have had an amazing week, an amazing weekend, and looking forward to this weekend to come. And you're doing everything that makes your heart full. I had such an amazing time this past week. I got to go to the Wizkid concert at the Hollywood Bowl, and it was an absolutely romantic, unplugged experience, and reinforced the love I have for my man. Okay, Mr. Ayodeji Ibrahim Balogun, that is my man, otherwise known to the public as Wizkid. He's a star, and I absolutely enjoyed the concert. It was one of a kind because he was accompanied by an orchestra, Color of Noise. It was just really, really something special, something very different, but also in every way the setting I would have imagined for him to perform. If you know me from back then, you'll know that I've always said that I'd love to see Wizkid in a very intimate environment, just serenading us with the music and the Afro soul energy that, his music possesses. And I feel like that's what it gave. Obviously it's a huge amphitheater setting, so it's relatively intimate in the sense that it's outdoors, it's quiet, and it's cute, so it's intimate in that regard. But I guess for a person of his magnitude, obviously you can't expect him to perform at a random supper club, unless it's like a private event, which if he ever held that, hosted that, I'll definitely go through. But yeah, very special. Wizkid was really the highlight of the weekend, and yeah, baby, to see you more. Ironically though, he cancelled all the other concert dates, or most of the other concert dates in the States, and the one he did not cancel was for some reason the one that I had tickets for. So I was just like, you know what, this is definitely the universe, and I'm so grateful, and it was meant to be, and it was absolutely beautiful and quite a time. So yeah, I'm happy that I got to see my man, and yeah, it was quite the evening. So yeah, slowly getting off that beautiful high of the weekend and good energy of the weekend, back to reality, child. A story that I've been keeping tabs on has to do with this whole Tyler Perry thing and how he is being allegedly sued by Derek Dixon for sexual harassment. So for context, and all of this is alleged because, honey, I'm not in those documents, okay? Essentially, how they know each other. Derek Dixon apparently worked at one of the events that Tyler Perry was hosting at his home. He was apparently a waiter there, essentially assisting with the event. So apparently allegedly Tyler Perry handpicked him from the crowd, got him a role on one of his shows on the Oval, and he was essentially playing a gay homeless person. And it wasn't like a major role. I mean, obviously I remember like seeing the Oval and seeing Derek Dixon's character on the show, and essentially this started a working relationship. But from the context of the messages that we've seen on the internet, that working relationship quickly turned into something that was essentially inappropriate, because there were alleged texts of, Tyler Perry kind of flirting, and, there's a picture where he's sending Derek, and he's like, calling himself a stud and mentioning, that he's horny and that the next person who talks to him is going to get it, and, him talking about the guiltless sex, and essentially trying to convince Derek to somewhat give in to him in some way sexually. That's what is allegedly implied in some of these messages, and it's a whole lot going on, and I feel like with how everything came out was, I guess, a shock to most people. Tyler Perry's sexuality has always been in question for me, but more so not really in question. It was more so, girl, I know you're one of the girls, but question is, when are you ready to just acknowledge that and come out? That's the other part of it, right? There's the harassment aspect of it, right? Which is plain and simple. If he is the superior to Derek Dixon on that production and texting him messages of a flirty nature and of a not so professional nature, and also putting him in a position where he can't necessarily just deny the advances, it makes it, I guess, a very tricky situation for him to sort of navigate that conversation without even coming across as rude or disengaged, but still trying to entertain the conversation, but not in a way that's, inappropriate. So the towing line just became very awkward, and I could see why it put him in a tricky situation. Allegedly, Derek Dixon essentially filed a complaint before doing the whole lawsuit, and I guess the complaint isn't necessarily published because, it wasn't about money at the time, but now I guess the route that has, he's taken is to obviously make it public, and suing, obviously there is potentially financial compensation should he win the lawsuit. So before he made it a big thing, it wasn't a big thing. So in my mind, I'm thinking if there was something that was meant to happen, or if it was purely for money, I think before he went public, he would have probably gotten paid off. But it looks like for him, maybe, allegedly, it's not about the money, and it's really just about maybe sending a message that, hey, this person is actually a predator, or is allegedly a predator, and because of that, I want to, I guess, send a message, set an example, that so that this person does not get to other people. That could have, been his motive. We don't know. But yeah, the text messages were very inappropriate and brought into question the ethics of how he treats other employees. How many more men are there? There was, stories of Christian Keys allegedly, who had posted an Instagram post or Instagram live a few years ago, speaking about an industry giant, alluding to, issues of harassment and all of those things, but never really came out, from my understanding, to conclusively say who they were speaking to. But apparently, allegedly, Christian Keys was also paid off, and so that's where that story disappeared. That's why we don't really see him posting about it or talking about it, because before it became public, he got, I guess, the money that he wanted. So maybe for him, sending a message wasn't really as important as getting coin from the situation. Why this is different, the timing of it, I think. Tyler Perry has just progressively gotten more and more successful, as time went on, and I think the position that he finds himself in, to be faced with such allegations, puts him in a very compromising position. And I feel like, I don't know how he's going to get ahead of it, or how he's going to spin the story so that it does as little damage as possible, but it's doing the most at the moment. And one, I really do hope that if it is all true, because all of this is allegations, that he does really learn to treat people better within his productions, and even though in the messages he's like, no, at work, you don't know me, I don't know you, we keep it professional, but it's anything but professional on text message. Like, it's a bit of a mixed signal for me, but essentially what I'm trying to say is, I hope that there's a lot more transparency in how he moves, and also how he moves with the people he has power over, because it becomes a power relationship essentially, and how he's willing to use that power, is obviously a reflection of him, but also a reflection of the quality of his work. If he's gonna, I'm gonna keep on going to the fact that if he's gonna write, direct, and produce everything that he does, right, that kind of gives him absolute power, which is also, not far from the notion that, power corrupts, but absolute power corrupts absolutely. And in this circumstance, if you have that much power over the people you are around every single day, of course you can always do whatever you want, and that includes things that are not necessarily professional. So I just feel like he needs to reflect on how he treats people, but in conjunction to that, reflect on his sexuality and him becoming and being honest with who he is. Because I think when he's finally at peace with who he is, I think he will start to treat people better. I don't know why it's taken him this long to come out, because it's not like if he comes out it's going to affect his business, because he's already at the top of the food chain. Perhaps people close to him, people around him know. Perhaps he has an arrangement, because he was married to a woman before and they have a kid. Perhaps they had an arrangement. Perhaps she didn't know. Perhaps she was a beard, and his religious past kind of makes him almost a typical DL dude, to be honest, because he is this doting person with a very high social standing in society, but he's busy going to freak offs and abusing his power in some ways, maybe power that was taken from him when he was a kid. Because if you hear of Tyler Perry's story, he was homeless at some point, and maybe obviously not treated in the best possible way, and you've heard of that whole notion of the people who are best to endorse or perpetuate an oppressed or flawed system are the people who were formerly oppressed by it. You haven't healed, you now do the same thing to other people to take back your power, and you feeling like in doing that you are finding healing, when really you are just perpetuating the cycle. Because now you're essentially trying to take somebody else's power in trying to get your power back, because the material power that you have may not be enough. So you want to have power that's beyond that, getting into somebody's body. I think that's a lot of power. So I feel like in some ways there could be some type of psychology behind everything that's happening, and going to therapy get him in a better position. More situations and more people may come forward, and if he fixes and if he reflects and deals with the situation appropriately, then I think that could help him with any future situations that may come up. Not necessarily a cancellation of the person, but it's corrective healing. Yes, you were wrong, but how can you help yourself to be a better person? Which is sometimes why I feel like cancel culture has a place in society, but also doesn't have a place in society. Because if you just leave something, it doesn't really fix it. It doesn't really fix itself. You just pay something off, it doesn't really fix it. It makes it go away on the surface, but it's not fixing the problem. Removing the resource that he has and using the qualitative resources that he has, which is the mind, the psyche, going to therapy. How can he fix the situation? I think that is probably the most fitting solution. And in all of this, I also hope that Derek really gets the help that he needs dealing with this whole situation, and that he moves forward in a way that is healthy, because obviously this has affected him. For him to take it, to a lawsuit level, it's obviously affected him gravely. So I feel like both parties need to really find some healing in all of this, and harassment is never okay in the workplace, ever. So Love and Hip Hop Atlanta season 13 trailer was released recently, and I really don't know why this show is still happening. It just looks hella boring, hella dry, hella repetitive. Like, how many times can you spin the same laundry, I just don't understand. Like, it's one of those shows that I feel like lost its prime and should have been cancelled at that time, because I always feel like now it's just an escalation of commitment. Obviously Carly is still there, Rashida and Kirk, obviously. I mean, where are they going? Then there's Yandy, and you have a couple of other people, Saucy, Santana, I think Sal is still in the show. Who else is on the show? Scrappy, Mama D. Like, I just feel like, where is it going? There's one show that needs a reboot and a recast. I think it's Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. Completely just get a whole set, like a whole new cast, see where that goes, essentially. Like, it needs a whole rebrand. I refuse to think that Love and Hip Hop is reduced to those 4 or 5 couples who are dealing with the same issues and rinse and repeat and rinse and repeat. How many angles, of the story can you tell in 13 seasons that was not told in season 3 or 4? You need a younger crowd and a more aspirational one. Do you know what I mean? You want more people who are on the cusp of making it, just newly made it, younger crowd, dealing with many different, maybe like have a polyamorous relation, somebody in a polyamorous relationship, trans bodies, things that are kind of interesting, different, but all exist in hip hop, because let's be honest, they really do. Just a fresh take on, things. How are Gen Z hip hop artists? How do they move? Not the same tired ass skit from I don't know how many years ago when we were all kids. It's ridiculous. So it needs to rebrand completely and move differently. So when I saw the trailer, I was really disappointed. The answer is not bringing back Jocelyn or K. Michelle, all those great talents, Stevie, Muni. No, that's not the answer either. Although those people are a reflection of the prime of the show, they're not necessarily a reflection of the future. So Wendy Williams' ex-husband, Calvin Hunter, is suing her whole guardianship situation, and I think the guardian herself, Sabrina Morrissey, allegedly. And I saw this whole story of him suing the guardianship. On the one hand, if you had no context, you would think, oh, he's just there trying to like save Wendy, free Wendy, and hopping on the bandwagon to essentially protect this woman who is an icon of daytime television, radio, and just entertainment in general, and also who happened to be your ex-wife, but maybe they're on good terms or they're getting in a better space, and so he's like, let me help out the way I can. Surface level, that's what it may look like. But on a deeper level, I think it may just have to do with a self-serving purpose, like if Wendy does not have access or control of her financial empire, he's not getting any bread, essentially. So in some ways, the only way that this makes sense is if he is doing this so he can get alimony in some way, or he can get help from Wendy in some way, because that's the only vested interest he has. He's got no real other reason to do it, because they're divorced, it didn't end well. He threw that new relationship of his in her face. In many ways, the situation Wendy ended up in and the spiral had to do with that divorce. So why would the same person who caused you all that pain want to help you if it's not for a self-serving reason? So yeah, I call bullshit on the whole thing. Wendy will come out of this better than ever. She'll flourish, whatever that looks like in the future, because I feel like she really has gone through the most and can't reign forever. Free Wendy, we are rooting for Wendy Williams always, and she will always be that girl. End off on a lighter note, summer has officially kicked off, and yeah, the race for the song of the summer is still continuing, people. We do not have a solid song that everyone is listening to. When Gaga released that Mayhem album, she knew what the fuck she was talking about, because it's been the most. Couldn't have been a more appropriate album to release given the climate of everything and the vastness and the most that's just happening. So yeah, we don't have a song of the summer yet. Obviously Abracadabra was a winter song, but it's had so much success, and I love Gaga, and really she is that girl for me. So I feel like she can definitely ride that wave beyond the summer into maybe an album of the year, category, and perhaps winning that, because I do think she is very talented in the song and the album itself. And this resurgence and revival and reheating of the nachos of Gaga needs to be studied because it's one hell of a, it's almost like she just picked up from where she left off in 2010 or 2012 or the last time we saw avant-garde Gaga. Anyway, I've come across these cute little new songs. One of them is Boy Crazy by Kesha, who I really like, by the way. I think in her prime, Kesha gave us some really cute little pop hits, and they were everything we wanted. You know, I wake up in the morning looking. Actually, that didn't age pretty well, to be honest, because, well, the song aged well. It's still a good song, but I think she ended up, did she end up changing that part where she mentions he who shall not be named, Mr. Baby Oil, you know, the Freak Master? I don't know. I don't know if she changed that part, but that song was a cute little bop, and this Boy Crazy song, I just love the melody of it, and it's just like so cute, and it's very poppy. It's like cliche poppy, but in an expected way, because I feel like she really did give us some moments. Like Kesha in her prime was gold, but her prime didn't last long enough for it to be iconic, so it almost feels like she had a moment, but it's not necessarily legacy, you know. But I'm liking this new song, and I'm hoping to see where it goes. Is this the rebirth of Kesha? Are we gonna get, you know, more new songs? Is she gonna reprime? Is that possible? You know, it'll be interesting to see. So good on you, Kesha girl. The other song I wanted to talk about is Guilt Tripping by Central C and Sexy Red, and it's also another soft, beautiful song. To be honest, for me, this was an unexpected song for Sexy Red because it doesn't really sound ratchet. You know, when I say ratchet, I mean like it doesn't sound like a hood anthem. Do you get what I mean? Because I feel like Sexy Red is that girl. Like she is a hood rap queen, and I feel like that's how she sells herself, that's how she portrays herself, and I kind of like her, and I like her unapologetic image and almost dumb rap if you think about it, because it's like the stuff that she raps about, bend that ass over and make that, you know what I mean, hands on you, like it's like nothing of real substance per se, but it's stupid, it's funny, we laugh, we bop to it, it's catchy, you know. So she's kind of great in that genre, and I feel like a lot of these newer rap girls are within that dumb rap genre. Like they're not really rapping about anything important or having an existential crises or whatever, or something deep. It's just like stupid shit, you know. Glorilla, I feel like, is one of those people who kind of is within the dumb rap category. Like that song, is it Internet Trolls or something? Do what you want to do, be how you're supposed to be, say what you want to say, no. Like, what are you really saying? Do what you want. Like that song for me is just like, it's dumb if you think about it. And that's what I mean by dumb rap. It's like you're not really, there's no huge important conversation message you're really sharing other than frivolous, good time, let's bop, let's have fun type of thing. So this, yeah, going back to Sexy Red and Central C, I really loved it. Feels like a very sensual song, feels soft, feels gorgeous, it feels summery actually. So I'm interested to see if they'll do more collaborations. Central C has got that English rapper thing, you know, which I love, by the way. It's so cute. Like, give it to us, you know. So I just thought the combination of the energies worked, and I don't know if that song will be as a commercial success, but then again, I also just like random weird things, and the general public may not have that same taste, but it was a cute song. So the race for the song of the summer continues, honey, and I will definitely continue to feature cute songs that I come across and find interesting and tasteful. So yeah. Anyway, babies, I hope you've enjoyed this episode of The Messiest Bitch on the Internet. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and also follow us on Instagram at BigManEntertainment_, and I'll see you again on the next one.